WWE Crown Jewel 2018 Preview. Welcome back to the ACB Wrestling Talk Channel, your main source for wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff. I'm your host, Alexis Carrillo, and Crown Jewel is taking place as scheduled this Friday, November 2nd, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, on the WWE Network, and they haven't mentioned it over the past few weeks, but it is taking place from Riyadh in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And other news that broke just a few hours ago was that Ryan Satin from the Pro Wrestling Sheet, he broke that Renee Young had been given the green light to be a part of the official announce team for Crown Jewel. So Renee Young is going to be able to make that trip to Saudi Arabia. She will be a part of this event, which, if you ask me, is a great big first step into trying to have, women be a part of these events in Saudi Arabia. I'm not saying WWE is causing the culture in Saudi Arabia to change. I'm not saying WWE is changing anything in Saudi Arabia. I'm just saying this might be a really good first step in, WWE and the General Sports Authority compromising in the fact that, yes, Saudi Arabia has their own rules, it has their own culture, it has, their own stuff to deal with, and nothing outside of themselves is going to change that. But WWE is little by little, hopefully, putting their foot down and trying to make them compromise and saying, yes, you have all these things in your country that, we respect, and, we're not wanting you to change that, but if you want to do business with us, if you want to have our shows take place in your country, then you're going to have to compromise a little bit and allow us to have women on the show, whether it be an announce team or in future events, possibly women actually wrestle on the show, which is, to me, good news. And I tell this to a lot of people. We live in a society where it's either 100% good or 100% bad. It either has to be perfect or it has to be completely awful, and that's just not the case, because that's not real life. Those are, unrealistic expectations, and the best we can hope for is that we take baby steps into or towards the goal that we want to achieve, and I think this accomplishes that. So with that out of the way, let's get right into the matches, and let's start with the WWE World Cup, or what many people are calling the US Open, because the 8 participants in this World Cup are American. They have, as far as I know, they were all born in the United States of America, or they are all residing in the United States of America, or build, yeah, that's a better word, build from the United States of America. And realistically, in kayfabe, and I realize, that's a tough sentence to pull off, but in kayfabe, you can't really say, WWE didn't give international superstars a chance, because Seth Rollins defeated the Scottish superstar Drew McIntyre. McIntyre didn't qualify. Bobby Lashley defeated the Irish superstar Finn Balor, even though that wasn't a qualifying match. I would assume, and this is just me, that if Balor had beaten Lashley for a second time, possibly Balor could have been put in Cena's place. Kurt Angle won the International Battle Royal as El Conquistador, yes, but International Battle Royal nonetheless. The Miz defeated the Bulgarian brute Rusev, and Rey Mysterio defeated the Japanese superstar, the Japanese artist Shinsuke Nakamura. So in kayfabe, you can't really talk about how they didn't give international superstars a chance to qualify for the World Cup, and in kayfabe, they just could not do it. They just could not get the job done, which is why we have these 8 superstars as a part of this WWE World Cup. And pretty interesting about this is that we're going to have the entire tournament, 7 matches involving 8 competitors, take place this Friday, at Crown Jewel, and here are my predictions. Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. This one is pretty simple for me, because Bobby Lashley has been reported to be working injured for quite some time now, apparently. So I doubt that he's going to continue, and he's a last-minute replacement, so... And even if you lose to Seth Rollins, that's not a big loss. I mean, it's Seth freaking Rollins. He's so over with the crowd that people would understand, yeah, Rollins is going to win regardless. So I'd have to go with Seth Rollins getting the victory. And then on the other Raw quarterfinal, you got Kurt Angle versus Dolph Ziggler. Now, my logical sense, and if I were booking it, I would give it to Dolph Ziggler, because he is a younger superstar. He is in his prime. He is more agile and can put on a better match than Kurt Angle can right now. That's what I believe. But you also have to consider this. And the fact is that Kurt Angle, and this is Kurt Angle's first singles match since his return to WWE. And I doubt WWE is going to have Kurt Angle lose his first singles match in over 10 years in WWE. So, WWE is going to go with Kurt Angle getting the win, much to my dismay, because, like I said, I don't think these veteran superstars, which I will get to more in the coming minutes, can keep up with the current era of superstars. And in fact, the current crop of superstars have to slow down their matches to keep up, or to, pull these veterans up to their level. We're talking about a physical sport where wrestlers in their prime put on the best matches, and Kurt Angle is far, far, far away from his prime, even though he is still a damn good wrestler. Going on to the Smackdown side of things, now an interesting stipulation was given last night on Smackdown Live, and that is that the superstar who makes it, the Smackdown superstar who makes it to the finals of the WWE World Cup and loses, I'm not sure if it was definitive, but I will say it could be definitive, will get fired from SmackDown, which I would only assume would mean they would go over to Monday Night Raw, which, at least for me, has to factor into the decision of who is the SmackDown Superstar finalist. So, with that in mind, let's go with Jeff Hardy versus The Miz. And another very simple one for me. I have to go with The Miz. I don't think Jeff Hardy is in a position right now to be a top single superstar. They haven't positioned him in that way. Surely they can do that by having him win the World Cup. I just don't think he was going to win the World Cup. And I don't think he's going to make the finals, because if he makes the finals and he doesn't win it, he goes over to Raw. And Jeff Hardy on Raw hasn't really worked. So I have to give it to The Miz in this case. And going to the other side of things, we got Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton. My favoritism, my bias, my logic would tell me that Randy Orton gets the win over Rey Mysterio. I would prefer Orton to get a win because of his current character, and he is what many would call one of the top heels on SmackDown Live. But Rey Mysterio is on his return, fresh on his return, so I have to give it to Rey Mysterio right here because he is the bigger star, and this is Crown Jewel, where you need big stars at these events. So, with that in mind, we have Rollins, Angle, Miz, and Mysterio advancing to the semifinals. Now, on the Raw semifinal side, we've got Seth Rollins versus Kurt Angle. Now, in name alone, dream match. Seth Rollins, Kurt Angle, one-on-one, dream match in name alone. And I'm sure they're going to have a good to great match if that is indeed the case that happens. Rollins versus Angle. But I have to go with Seth Rollins getting the win. 10 times out of 10, I will choose Seth Rollins to go over. I don't care what argument you have to say. Kurt Angle is on his retirement run, at least for me. You put over somebody like Seth Rollins over him. Even, Angle has been gone for years and years and years, and he's a veteran. So it doesn't hurt Angle at all, and it puts Seth Rollins over even more. So Rollins advances, and then we got Miz versus Mysterio, versus Rey Mysterio. Again, in this case, I would go with The Miz with the win. But I know that's not going to happen, because Rey Mysterio is in his return. So I'd have to go with Rey Mysterio being The Miz once more, just like he did a few weeks ago on Smackdown Live. And we go to the finals, but we get our dream match again. Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio in the finals of the WWE World Cup. Now, if you ask me, I think Rollins versus Mysterio is going to be a much better match, or could be a much better match than Rollins versus Angle. So, on that case alone, I am thrilled if this happens, of course. Nothing is set in stone, but I have to go with Rey Mysterio getting the win. Again, his return to WWE, they do not want to deflate this guy, and I have a feeling that Rollins might get to the finals, but, you know, he has these problems with Dean Ambrose, and Ambrose might cost him the finals of the World Cup. So I think Rey Mysterio gets the win of this first ever WWE World Cup. If you have a different prediction on who might win the World Cup entirely, leave your thoughts, comments, and predictions on the comment section below. If you have a different idea of how the brackets might play out, leave it on the comment section below. I'd love to see your different kind of brackets. Who do you think might advance in each match? What dream matches would you want to see if you were indeed booking this World Cup? Leave them on the comment section below, of course, and I will check them out. And moving on to the championship matches, or the main event build matches. One note I want to put out there is, last night on Smackdown Live, we had the originally WWE Championship programmed match for Crown Jewel. Daniel Bryan versus AJ Styles. You know, amazing match between the two with a surprising result. Daniel Bryan taps out to AJ Styles. Styles retains. And that made sense. You know, Bryan is the underdog. And, you know, he can afford to have some losses because that's just a mechanism to get the crowd even more behind him. And I honestly thought they were not going to have a WWE title match at Crown Jewel, because even without the WWE title match, it's already 10 matches on the card. Add the new one, Styles versus Joe, and now it's 11 matches on this card, so it's a pretty hefty amount of matches for this event already. But going on to this prediction, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe, a repeat from SummerSlam, a repeat from Hell in a Cell. And like I said in the past, if you ask me, you gotta throw Samoa Joe's character a bone. You gotta give that sadistic sociopath some strength, some momentum, and definitely the title. I definitely want to see Joe with the title. However, I doubt that they're gonna do that. So, I'll go with AJ Styles getting the win, once again, over Samoa Joe, leading up to Survivor Series, where I think Samoa Joe is going to play a big part in Team SmackDown. Moving on from that, we've got the match that I really don't care about, a match that would have blown my mind 20 years ago. If I could have watched it 20 years ago, obviously I was just a kid back then, so I couldn't. A match that even 10 years ago would have been awesome. I was a kid 10 years ago, so, you know, I just would have been so thrilled with having DX versus the Brothers of Destruction. But today, November 2nd, well, not today, obviously. On November 2nd, we're going to have DX versus the Brothers of Destruction for the first time ever, hopefully for the last time ever. And we're going to have a 200 plus years of age in that ring. So that's really sad to think about that. And you know my feelings about that. You know, Undertaker should have retired about 5 years ago. I think, you know, he's desecrating his legacy by still having matches that don't live up to what he used to do. He's essentially just this big bad legend phenom who can't go in the ring anymore. Kane hasn't put on a great match since before the 2010s. And, this is all subjective. You may have a different opinions, but this is just me, okay? And Shawn Michaels should have stayed retired. I loved his retirement 8 years ago. Him coming out of retirement is obviously due to money, the money that was offered to him. So, he makes his own decisions. He's coming back for this match, and honestly, I think he could put on a hell of a match better than what Taker and Kane can do, even with 8 years inactive. So, that really tells my expectations on this match. And Triple H is decent, still decent in that ring, but his gimmick is no longer the game. His gimmick is, the owner of, or the runner of NXT, and the wife of Raw Commissioner Stephanie McMahon. That's his gimmick. So, honestly, I couldn't care less about this match. If I had to choose someone to go over, I will just go with the 50-50 booking that WWE is known for. If at Super Showdown we had Triple H beat The Undertaker, then I think the Brothers of Destruction and Undertaker in that case have to get the win back. So the Brothers get the win over DX. So those are my thoughts on that match. Moving on to something a little bit better. The Smackdown Tag Team titles are on the line. The Bar versus the New Day. And I just want to point this out. They just shut my mouth up last night on SmackDown Live. If you listened to my SmackDown preview last night, I shit all over the Trick or Street match. I was not looking forward to it. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was stupid. And then SmackDown happened. And then the New Day came out as the Brood, and I was immediately plugged to that screen. So yes, they shut my mouth up. Gladly, I can gladly admit that, because that was entertaining as hell. So, with that out of the way, who comes out with the SmackDown Tag Team Championships? Easy. I think the Bar retains it. To me, it makes no sense at all to have the Bar drop the titles back to the New Day, because the SmackDown Tag Team title scene is pretty much non-existent right now. The Good Brothers are nowhere to be seen. The Usos versus the New Day, again, really? So I have to go with the Bar retaining the titles. And finally, the main event of Crown Jewel, Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar for the vacant Universal Championship. I dread November 2nd, if that is the day that Brock Lesnar once again becomes Universal Champion. I dread that day a lot, because that'll just bum me the hell out if Lesnar walks out with that title again, because that means we're not going to see that championship again until WrestleMania. And that bums the hell out of me. That pisses me off. So I'm rooting for Braun Strowman to get the win, to finally get that Universal Championship. And the only thing that's stopping me from making that not only a prediction, but how Paul Heyman would say, a spoiler, is the fact that Crown Jewel has been surrounded by all this controversy that I'm really questioning the fact that WWE would want to crown Braun Strowman as a world champion for the first time in such event. That's what giving me all these doubts. Honestly, I have to go with Braun Strowman getting the win, but if he does not get the win, I would prefer a no contest and the Universal title remain vacant until Survivor Series, rather than putting it back on the Beast. That's just me, okay? I'm a fan of Brock Lesnar. I've said it in the past. What I'm not a fan of is his part-time schedule. I'm not a fan of him coming out to the ring and just suplex F5, suplex F5, suplex, 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 suplex times 5, suplex times infinity, F5 times infinity. Those are some boring-ass matches. I want the Lesnar that we got in his first run, where he could actually wrestle. He is an amateur wrestling champion. The guy can actually wrestle, but he is stuck in his UFC MMA bullshit gimmick. So, with that said, I hope Braun Strowman comes out with the Universal title, and if he does, I am looking forward to his future feud with Drew McIntyre over the title post Survivor Series, because Survivor Series is going to have that Raw vs. SmackDown, brand fighting over supremacy. So, with that said, that's the Crown Jewel preview. And one last thing I want to point out, I get it, a lot of fans are not supportive of this event. Most fans are not going to be watching this event. I get that. That's a decision to be made by, any individual person, any individual fan. But don't expect people to follow suit just because you think that way. And as far as I'm concerned, I am still supporting this event. Why? Because you're going to have people, the wrestlers in the ring, announcers in the announce table, producers in the backstage area, and tons more staff, people, and fans going to watch this event. They are all working hard as hell to put on the best event possible, and I can get behind that. I can support that. So the one thing I'm asking from you is, if someone is looking forward to this event, if someone is going to be watching this event, Crown Jewel 2018, calm down, hold your horses, and realize that not everyone has the same ideology that you do. Allow them to enjoy what they want to enjoy, and you can just, skip this event if that is indeed what you want to do. Be tolerant. That's all I'm asking. And, that's my only petition for this show of Crown Jewel 2018, which has obviously been surrounded with tons of controversy. So anyway, that's the Crown Jewel preview show en route to November 2nd in Saudi Arabia. If you have different predictions, if you have different thoughts and comments, leave it in the comments section below. And, I kind of forgot, it's October 31st. Happy Halloween, everybody. And, if you have different costume ideas that you want to throw out in the comment section below, you're free to do so, Make sure you put those in there to join in on the Halloween spirit. So, yeah, if you follow wrestling news, topics, discussions, previews, all that kind of good stuff, consider subscribing. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you dislike this video, hit the dislike button. That's it for me. Till next time.